Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum to all my students. We are gathered here again for an amazing and valuable sort of session of speaking with me, Bushra Usman, your instructor for spoken English. Students, I hope you're feeling well and doing great in your daily routine works. Today, the topic is very different and an awesome topic which will help you to guide you in your future lives, whatever you will choose, wherever you go. It will really imprint a lot of great impression to your minds and your thoughts. If you ever take these things into your discipline or take this information which our guest speaker will talk to you and give you as a token of golden chance, you can avail it. Just grab it and take it as a golden chance for you to avail it in your daily life routine as well as choosing your career line. That how and why and where you will use the importance of English language while choosing your streamlines. So I hereby congratulate again for an amazing session today and welcome Ms. Fatima Gohar. She is basically a corporate and legal counsel and working for Fatima Group of Companies for almost about 1.5 years. And she's an RJ by passion. RJ, do you people know what is RJ? She's a radio jockey and she'll tell you the rest of the things. So I welcome her with a huge round of applause. Please, Ms. Fatima, come here and say some words about your experiences and choosing English in career building lines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vishwa. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Fatima, and I'm going to be talking about how important is English language in our career buildings. So I would require a little introduction of you people as well before we move on to that. I will give you a little introduction of myself. I am a lawyer by profession, and yes, I do radio broadcasting as a spare time hobby. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years now, almost 14, 15 years. But a good 8-9 years I've been a corporate practitioner, a corporate lawyer, and that's what I do in my, that's my bread and butter anyway. So while wondering what to talk about and what to deliver to you today, I was wondering I need to really tell a lot of maybe reality checks we need to have with regards to English language and then only realize the importance of the language. First of all, do you agree that this is not our first language and it is our second language? Do you agree with this fact?
Yes. Yes.
So in order to learn any second language, it requires you some effort. And therefore, we are here. We may not be taking any classes to learn our regional languages, or maybe we will not be taking any classes to learn our native language, that is Urdu maybe, or any language that we speak at home, our mother tongues. Because we've been growing up listening to the same language over and over again. By the way, you can always interrupt and let me know if I have to repeat something because maybe I would be rushing in and you may not be able to grab something. If that is the case, I'm absolutely perfectly okay repeating it. So understanding the fact that a language is a second language is the first important thing. And after that, realizing that since it is a second language, it will require effort. And when you make a lot of effort, when you do a lot of practice, you can make mistakes. It's completely okay. However, learning from your mistakes and not repeating them is the key. You will not want to repeat a mistake. For example, if I would tell that you always use the maybe you don't use two S's together, that's a basic English language rule. If I tell you that if I just keep on saying and I use a sentence which has he did came to me, that is a mistake that I've made. But if I come across a correction, if somebody else tells me, it did come to me, because you do not use the second form of the word with, did, or do. So my duty towards learning a second language should be to not to repeat the mistake. Learn. And then use it as much as possible in order to imprint it in my routine and my language and my reasonable usage of it in daily life. So I've made a little pointers on which I wanted to talk about today. So we accept, all of us, if you are agreeing with me, that yes, we will make mistakes. It's completely okay. But the key is to learn from them and to not make them again. In order to learn from them, what we need to do is most important, an aspect which is called being receptive. If you use maybe an incorrect sentence that has incorrect grammar, and if I am correcting that, if I'm making a rectification, you should be receptive, rather thinking, oh, why is somebody else making a correction? Bear in mind, this is not even my first language. So maybe I've made a lot of mistakes which I have learned not to make them again. So being receptive is also another important aspect. You may learn a lot of things. For example, somebody would tell that you could have used a different word while saying something, and that would have made the sentence better. Perhaps you just go back, check into your dictionary. Now we do not have the books on the tables, so we use our phones generally. Perhaps we can go back and check into the dictionary and find out what is the better word you could use. That will make you visualize a story. Oh, let's go back to the basics. Let's talk about Jack and Jill. They went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. We have been listening to this poem since we were this much young, probably, right? So, one fine day I was wondering, what does a pail of water mean? Pail of water? I never found out what the meaning of pail of water is. I knew what is water. What is pail? I went back, I googled it down because we certainly live in an era where you do not have to go back to the books. So P-A-L-E, pail, means that little bucket that carries water. We would call it a bucket as well, but water is generally fetched in pails. So that's what we've been listening to, talking about since we were this much young, but we probably never realized the word pail of water. The content that is always proofread and then only printed, rather reading blogs which may not be proofread but just printed, maybe the blogger himself is making a mistake in English language. So an authentic content that is always already proofread, and then pointing out new words for yourself, looking for the synonyms. Synonyms mean same meanings, different words, same meanings. However, synonyms are also very deceptive. We will talk about that. I have that as my top point as well. So, and finding out where using them in your daily routine. So, when I was in grade 6, I remember a teacher who was an English teacher, and that was the lady who made me a lot of interested in the language. She would walk into the classroom, she would write on the board a simple word, for example, walk. And then she would write so many synonyms of walk and would tell, tread means to walk like this, meander means to walk like this, maybe. Stride means to take bigger steps. There were other words as well. There were words like meandering, striding, treading, walking, jumping, jogging. So all of these are different types of walking. At the end of the day, you can use the word walk as well, but that will not denote the exact meaning at times. So it's very important to use the synonyms in their own context as well. So why English? The question is why English? Why only English? We know that the most widely spoken language in the world is Mandarin Chinese. Then why English? English is the second most widely spoken language in the world, and the third is Hindi, Urdu, by the way. First is Chinese Mandarin accent. There are two accents to Chinese, the Cantonese and the Mandarin, but Mandarin is the most widely used, the one used in Hong Kong, Taiwan as well. That's the most widely spoken language only because of the overpopulated Chinese regions. there are so many numbers that they use this language, and by numbers it becomes the most widely spoken language. However, the English have been ruling almost a lot of countries in the world. We understand the concept of colonialism and the colonies. English have been ruling us as well. Therefore, our syllabus, therefore, every other country we visit is more or less ruled by English people, and thus understands English. Say for maybe German or France, who are actually very against English people and they would never want to speak in English. They have their own language trainings for 1 year and then only move on to German and French. Anyways, why English? Because it is the most widely understood and spoken language. It will make life easier for you. However, since it is not our first language, we need to learn it. Thus, we need more practice. You read newspapers, they're very nicely proofread, they're good material to read. You would come across so different types of news and so many different types of words that come out of those different types of news. Now we know the plural of news is news. There's no word as news is. So, reading and then figuring out those words, picking those words and then using them all over again. Use Google to read what sort of sentences are these words used in. And then you will understand the context as well. And then, apart from reading, we talked about listening as well. If I am talking to you, maybe you're picking up new words. If Sanaullah or Bashra are talking, maybe I'm picking up new words. For example, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. The pail is a new word to maybe a lot of us today. A lot of other poems, maybe Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, up above the world, so high. I mean, this would mean just too high, maybe too high in the ranks. Anyways, so what I wanted to point out that since it is the most widely used language, we need to practice more. And in order to practice, we have different mechanisms that we could use to practice. Read. How many of you watch dramas or watch movies or watch serials? Oh, almost all of them. Are you not interested in dramas and movies? Not all the time. So, do you watch those series that have subtitles?
Yes.
Which language subtitles?
English.
And do you read those subtitles?
Yes.
Is that helpful?
Very good.
Very helpful. I have learned a lot of words from those subtitles. I was a little one, I did not know a Jhumar was called a chandelier. A doshiza was called a damsel. Unless and until I was watching a song and it had doshiza ka labs, khubsurat ladki, and it gave me the word damsel. Then I realized, oh, damsel means just a beautiful lady. Or the chandelier is the one that is fixed in the ceilings, jisko Jhumar kehte hain. So you would come across hundreds and thousands of nice new good words to use in your language. Subtitles are very helpful. They are very helpful. But once again, the key to understand subtitles is also to use the different words in their own context and not use them in isolation or independently. They would give completely a different view at the same time. So, one, we can do it through subtitles. How to improve this part, spoken English? I think I'm sure Ms. Bushra keeps telling you new techniques how to improve your spoken English, but how about maybe standing before the mirror, maybe talking with yourself, a self-talk session, maybe venting your own frustration out or your own irritations out just before the mirror and telling yourself, oh, I did not have a good day at work. This will impact your expression. This will impact the way you talk. Nobody's listening. So the good part is you can keep on talking. Nobody's there to listen to you. You are not sharing the secrets of somebody else but your own self. But once you are just talking about them, they will help you vent out this way. So standing in front of the mirror, talking to yourself, using the words you want, and if you think you're stuck in some word, go back to your books, go back to your phones, take out the better words. Those will help you. And that also helps in building confidence. confidence. It really helps in building confidence. Take my words. This is one activity. This will help. You can go home, stand before the mirror, talk to yourself, or maybe talk on a topic for a good 10 minutes to begin with. This will really enhance your self-confidence. Use your hands, raise your voice, use expressions, and you will find the difference in maybe a week or so. So, आज आप लोग घर जाके करेंगे ऐसी एक्टिविटी?
Yes, sure. Yes.
शीशे के आगे खड़े हो जाना है, अपनी फ्रस्ट्रेशन सारी बोल के निकाल देंगे. Would that help you? You can always share your feedback in this Vishwa and tell that maybe we did it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and this is the difference that you feel. Another aspect would be to talk about any good topic with your friends. Talk about it. We're all learning. We're always learning. So even if we make slight little mistakes, that's okay. Do not judge people on their mistakes. It's all right. All of us will make mistakes, but let's not repeat those mistakes. Let's not take them for granted. They will keep on coming and haunting us anyway. Writing. Yes. For writing, it requires, because this is a little difficult part than spoken English. You may be wondering that this is a little easier part, but writing is it is a little difficult. What good practices you can do in writing? For example, you can use the most basic books for English grammar or sentence construction. Just once, or a very lighter note, read out those rules, which say maybe that you do not use the second form of verb with the to, do not use two s together, vowels and consonants. Vowels se pehle am lagta hai, consonants se pehle a lagta hai. Just read those basic rules. Nobody's asking you to learn them by heart. That's not possible. Read those basic rules and apply them. The application thereof will help the people develop gradually a very nice writing pattern as well. At least you will be writing right grammar. The best way to begin writing is to keep it simple. Be very simple in your words. Begin with short sentences. Use simple words. Do not use complicated words in the beginning. You may land into using difficult words in wrong context. A man was jogging, maybe he was just walking or was not feeling well, meandering. It's okay, you can just say he was wandering in the park, he was walking in the park, it's okay. So be simple, small sentences, short sentences would help, because punctuation is another story altogether. It's another game altogether that you will learn, of course, while you write. So punctuation, एक comma इधर से उधर semicolon यहाँ से वहाँ हो जाता है, context completely change हो जाता है. Anything else that you would suggest? If you want to learn more writing, you can use that technique.
Yes, ma'am.
What?
If you want to read as much as possible, so definitely it will increase your writing skills.
Okay. So what is your good name?
Usman.
Usman. Yes, read as much as possible. Reading and listening are the anyway keys. Reading is something you should do any given day. Listening is something you should do any given day. Probably you're picking different words from what I'm talking to you about as well, from this conversation as well. And I'm also learning from you anyway. So that's a two-way learning all the time. And I'm sure that is going to help you anyway, any given day. Acha, there's one very interesting, we were talking about synonyms and why we need to use English, and we should be very simple and do not use complicated words. Do not use slangs. Do not use slangs. Nobody is gonna listen to you. Everybody is going to listen to you. Slangs have no place in the English language at all. Bear this in mind. There is no concept of slang. Yes, there is this acceptance of slang in communication, but not in the language. Because you and I use slang, therefore there is an implied acceptance. But Once you write that down in your in your papers, I'm sure the examiner will not like it. Also, you can maybe, in your written papers, you can also maybe try this to not use contractions, can't, didn't. It's always good to use the proper full words, to not use acronyms, always use full words. That's one of the basic keys to learn this language. It will really help you hard. So we're not using slang, we're not using contractions, we are not using acronyms, we're not using long sentences. There's one very important thing which I want to talk to you about. Okay, so does anyone have an answer to this question? Whether often is the right word or often is the right word?
Often.
Is often the wrong word?
Yes.
Who
Okay.
said yes?
It's
Come in
okay.
front.
It's okay. So the answer is both are right. The difference is the English used in the UK and the English used in the USA.
Yes.
So there's a difference between the British English and the American English. The British English is the English that we've been studying and we know since this of age, because we have been ruled by Britishers. We have read Junior English, Oxford or Cambridge books. Therefore, we've always read schedule. Organization always had SA rather ZA. So if using Word on the computer underlines, gives a spell check of ZA, it's okay because you've chosen American English. If you choose British English, it will never give you a red line. Color, COLOUR, that's what we've been taught since we were too young. But Microsoft Word tells us, no, it is COLOR. You've been using the wrong word since your inception. We haven't been using the wrong word. We chose the wrong type of English. And we're mixing the two. So we keep on studying British English and we keep on watching American English movies. And therefore we end up mixing everything. British Council or the IELTS that I was reading a manual today of told me that it's okay. We understand children will be using, or maybe students will be using both sorts of English because this has seeped through everybody. So the general usage is alright. But a good speaker would stick to one sort of language. If you want to become a good speaker, and the British English language is very rich rather than American English. So using schedule, using postal codes, using aeroplane instead of airplane still sounds a little classy, but it's not wrong at all. That's interesting. So often is also right, often is also right. Schedule is also okay, schedule is also alright. Organization with an S is also acceptable, Z is also acceptable. Other words you can think of right now?
Organization. Immediately.
Which one?
Immediately.
Immediately, yes. Opportunity and opportunity. Advertisement and advertisement and advertisement. You will come across a lot of different pronunciations.
So these pronunciations are basically not a problem at all. It is just a matter of British English or the American English. How? I did not take any English language course. I did not take any. I studied English just like anybody else studied English. At the same time, I think I can do without a dislike. Is that okay? Alright, sorry. So, I did not take any particular English sessions, but this has evolved over the passage of time. I believe when I started my radio broadcasting, this was almost 15 years ago now. So I realized that this was so important for me to have good communication skills. If I were using wrong words, people would be learning more wrong words or listening to wrong words, and they would any day come up to me and say, "Oh, you don't even speak better. You don't even know how to use the right words." So for me, learning even more was more important.
and using the right words was more important. My shows had always been bilingual, or in the beginning they were English as well. But my shows have been bilingual, so I always had the chance of, or always had the opportunity to mix both languages and talk what suited me more simply, rather juggling around and finding the right word on the air, because I always did live shows. However, because we keep on practicing, we keep on using the language in our daily routine, so it has eventually evolved into way better communication skills. I believe. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people may not think, maybe we're thinking otherwise. At the same time, reading, keeping on reading books, newspapers, and since I've just landed into a career or landed into a profession that will require you reading this much of papers every day, therefore, that's my destiny. I have to read, I have no options, I have no choice. And while reading, थोड़ा सा मेरा भला हो जाए, और किसी से समझ आए. So because the key is to read, there's no way you can learn any other language, be it English or any other language, if you do not listen, if you do not read, if you do not practice it. You will make mistakes in the beginning, that's absolutely okay, perfectly alright. Learn from them and do not read. Maybe you can also use the Microsoft Word, write everything you want and then run a spell check, F7. Run a spell check and Microsoft Word will also tell you, oh, this was the wrong spelling you used, this was the wrong sentence construction you made, this was the wrong use of grammar. The green line, blue line and the red line, do you know the difference?
Yes.
What is the difference?
Red is wrong.
Red means there's a spelling error. Spelling error. Green means there's a grammatical error. And blue means there's a sentence construction error. So if after full stop you're beginning the next word with a lower key letter, it will mark it as blue and tell you, oh, you need to use the capital letter. As far as law is concerned, I believe all sorts of English is here and legal English is here. It's just completely another ballgame. This is interesting. Yeah, because it's completely another ballgame. For example, how many of you are interested in cricket? How many of you are interested in watching cricket? Do you have a favorite commentator?
Ramesh Raja.
Ramesh Raja. And do you listen to his commentary? And did you listen to the lady who was doing this commentary this World Cup? There was this lady who was doing this commentary.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the
Not talking about Zainab Abbas. She was not in the commentator. I'm talking about the ICC commentator, the official ones. So, an interesting part that I came across while she was when she was in the commentary box, she used the word, oh, there's a space between the players. And the space is a wrong word, generally the wrong jargon to use for sports or cricket because we use the word gap. There's a gap. So by way of English language, it was not wrong. Gap and space may mean similar. But by use of the context and the terminology and the jargons, everybody would say, oh, she knows nothing about cricket. That's why she's using the word space rather gap. If anybody, if even a little child would know cricket, he would use the word gap. Because you have been listening, you have been talking about it, you have been becoming familiar with the terms, and similar is the case with law. When we keep on studying the legislations or the statutes mean the laws, basically, simple. If any act, I would say it is a statute. So, if you would study, you will come up with words thereof, hereof, therewith, therefrom, hereunder, here and above, there and below. These are our Bible words. So we just keep on using them all the time. These become difficult. I think this is the next step we will walk on to. So, I will not go into a lot of legal English because that's completely another stage. We need to realize we do not know the entire Urdu as well at the same time. Fard, misl, jamabandiyan. I'm talking about land because that has the most, I believe, that have a lot of words that we're not familiar with in daily routine. But any land lawyer will know these words. If you would tell him read the fard, he would say, and if I say, oh, what is the fard? Land of बिल्कुल पता ही नहीं है इसको तो. It is just not land at all. So with English that's used in law, this will come with reading in practice and writing, of course. Communication, spoken, written. Any other tips that you feel that I have missed and you may contribute? Do you have anything in mind?
I have a question.
Sure.
What specified techniques we can use while choosing any of the lines, as you're an RJ and a lawyer? So what type of techniques you used while working in both of your different streamlines?
See, both of these require communication, by the way. A lot of communication. While choosing how to build your own career, maybe when you're in your grade 12, you're deciding what stream to take forward. Every stream at the end of the day will require usage of English language. One, be it less or be it a lot of usage. But first thing that I had in my mind, what interests me? Where is my interest? I was never a student who was good with maths. I was even better with accounting, but I was bad with maths. I disliked sciences, which is a very judgmental comment to make on myself. Because I believe that everybody would say, oh, basic chemistry, physics, bio, everybody should know, and I completely agree, everybody should know. But since these were out of the way, the third option was, oh, does management science subject interest me? And I realized, no, it doesn't. I found out, oh, I think I can go and do well with mass communication. I would love to communicate. But somehow I didn't end up doing mass communication because every second, third person was doing mass communication. So I realized there's something else I need to do which is ordinary, yet extraordinary. Nobody has done, so I ended up doing law. I was the lord of the last bench. Although I was not, I always sat at the front line, but I was the lord of the last bench, as you say. The interesting part is, this is how I came across and realized I could do well in law, because I had developed my interest. I need to explore this. So firstly, while choosing your career line, you need to find out what interests you the most. Within Pakistan, it's a little different scenario when it comes down to the work environment. We need to see how convenient it is to implement your studies into your careers, which sort of jobs are available, which sort of industries work in Pakistan. Maybe if you're wanting to study the ancient, you want to do a 4-year degree program in Egyptian history. Maybe you can just land in a museum in Pakistan and keep telling everybody this is history, that's it. Because we do not have the job market. We are a developing country, and under a developing country, we will take a lot of time to reach that point. However, what interests you? Does that have a practical implementation as well? Because at the end of the day, each one of us will be working, running the kitchen, or maybe running our own self only. That is also important. That's a practical aspect of it. But this is how at least I chose my career. So the techniques could be, okay, this is my interest, alright, this has the application of mind, this has more scope of learning, this will give me good job, this will give me my interest and good job. Why? Nothing like it. So far, have you decided what are you people doing or going to do? Do you have anything in mind? Nobody?
Speak up. Zelda, speak up.
Yes, please.
Should I pass on the mic?
You can come in front.
Or maybe you can also come in the front.
Come in front, front.
This one is the
No, you can come in front of the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just speak 3 to 4 sentences and tell what do you want to do.
Well, I want to do a research on neuroscience. That is my basic or major interest in the sciences. So I'm very passionate about this, the science of neuroscience, because there are a lot of mysteries in the science or the neuroscience. So I want to explore all that mystery. So that would be very fantastic for me. So yes, this is my interest. Ma'am, I think that you have both the person which are in coma. Their heart is still pumping the blood, but the brain is not working. The neurons are not working. So from here it is proven that even if the brain is not working, a person is alive. Okay, so we can it is a classification. You can say a classification because because if our heart pumps up blood in our body, the whole body will be alive, live or living thing. Okay.
I'm sure once you study neurosciences, you will get all your answers. But you know, open heart surgeries are performed by taking out the heart and keeping it in a bottle and then working on the.
They are playing with the birds. Yes, I
Yeah.
have seen that.
So it's basically the brain who is the mastermind.
Yeah.
And not the heart. I really wish you all the best with your neurosciences. I really wish you all the best, and that's a very interesting thing. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. I wish you all the best, and I wish I do not wish one fine day I'm your patient, but I would know this if he had a misfit in his mind. Anybody else who would want to come in the front and no, whoever said Ziaullah.
Yeah.
Sanaullah already said.
Okay, Sanaullah's all. There was somebody else who said Ziaullah. Yeah, you can come.
Bilal, Ajam.
See, it's not the right way to call anybody else. I'll ask Ziaullah as well, but towards the end. So, since you were the one to say Bilal, ji, Assalamu alaikum. So, what is your background? What do you want to become once you grow old or maybe older?
I want to become an aviator, and Alhamdulillah, I learned my aeronautical engineering from University of Management and Technology, and I have worked with flying club and airlines as well. And I have worked with different on different aircraft, which include the Cessna 152, 162, 182, and airline. I have worked on the Airbus A320 series. So Alhamdulillah, I did my dream, and now I'm working with the GEMS and feeling very proud.
Excellent. So you want to make this fly as well, and fly high. So, did aeronautical engineering interest you, and how did it develop your interest? And was this career just because you wanted aeronautical engineering? So tell me about yourself. That why did you choose aeronautical engineering, and how important was English to you in your streamline?
Basically, aeronautical engineer is a very tough job and a very difficult and study. So I accept the challenges. Therefore, I wanted to become an aeronautical engineer.
So how did English help you, or maybe how important was English to you while you were studying? Because I believe there was no subject that was in Urdu taught to you.
Basically, I have studied the module which they come from the aero building Germany, and my all courses was in English, and English is a very tough language. Basically, people thought that is a tough language, but as per my consideration, English is not a very tough language. Basically, you have to read, listen, and you have to work on it, so you can overcome your confidence, and you have to work on English.
I mean, I can see that confidence, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Bilal. This was very helpful. This was very helpful. So, my only experience to fly on an ATR was a flight from Lahore to Islamabad, and this is my experience of aeronautical maybe. While we were in the air, I kept on still thinking, why isn't it just stopping? Why isn't it just, why am I listening to a lot of sound and noise? Why are the propellers still working? And maybe in a second or two, I realized if this stops working, what is going to happen? They have to work. They are the propellers. This is an ATR. So these are some important, interesting. So how many of Bilal's friends have actually thought or maybe studied more about planes just because Bilal mentions about aircrafts? Did anyone of you develop that interest? Who? And what did you study?
Electrical engineering.
You are?
Electrical engineering.
Oh, could you just come in the front and talk about this, and also the use of English in your engineering? What is your name?
My name is Yaullah, and I have done my bachelor's of electrical engineering. My interest is in aeroplanes, basically but from my body medical fitness, that's why I not complete my wish qualified. So my father tell me that you will do engineering and electrical. I told him that I will not do it because it is very difficult. But still, I done my bachelor's in electrical.
So you know, there are so many times when you have to overcome the basic things and then work on your and focus on your work.
Yes.
So do you enjoy doing electrical engineering now, or have you completed it?
Yes, Alhamdulillah, I am very happy of this, but my interest is not electrical engineering because my interest is in aeroplanes and want to.
But you know, aeroplanes also have this electrical side of
Yes.
the
Yes,
aircraft as
electrical
well.
side.
Ah.
But because of my medical fitness, it
Or maybe you can sit on the ground and guide at the air traffic department and take you there. So, how important did you find English? Were you as confident as you are today when you started doing your engineering?
no, I was not so confident in the start, but later on I learned more about English. That English is very compulsory for us to get our goals because here English is
It's very important, basically important. And the importance is because it's the second most widely spoken and understood language.
Yes.
So wherever you go, wherever you land, whatever modules we study are generally English.
Yes, but
Therefore, we have to study English.
but my marks are very less in English and everything because my focus is to mathematics. I am very interested in maths. Basic, I give time to maths, and I am next.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was very helpful and interesting around so if you have a lot of interest in maths and numericals, you have a lot of mind, I'm sure, mind application. So you are special in your own way. However, inevitably, English is an integral part of our society and our education. Let's accept this.
Yes.
Accepting the fact and
Yes.
then moving forward, trying to practice, trying to learn. This is how I would make my children learn how to walk, because I know walk is going to be anyway integral to them. Like, I cannot leave them. You know, there's few milestones the children would achieve on their own. Walk is also one of them. But then there would be some milestones I would want them to learn and want to make them learn. For example, eating with the right hand. For example, not eating when the food is just too hot. So, there are few things we need to learn, practice, and then become expert or adept to. English is just like that. We do not have a choice as such, because practically speaking, yes, this will give you good employment opportunities. This will give you very competitive employment opportunities. Anyone else who would want to talk about the use of English in their careers? Anyone else who is interested? Did I miss a hand? No? Okay. So, any questions from me? Any questions that you feel you can ask me? I am here to answer, and then we can wrap up the session. Oh, I don't have a question today. I am not even just put onto a trial. I am so happy.
I think we are accomplished.
I feel so happy. I feel so happy about it. So, the last thing which I would want to mention, which I think forgot or missed the point, is the use of phrases, similes, metaphors, idioms, proverbs. When you will be studying English here or reading English, you will come across a lot of proverbs, zarbul misl, kahavatein, muhavrat, such words which may not have a daily use in your language, but if you use them, they will give you a very good impression. They will have a very good impression in your language. For example, the deal fell through.
The deal fell through is a phrase that we use. The deal didn't go well. Sleep over it. Matlab, think about it. Go home, sleep. Think about it with a fresh mind. As soft as a baby. These are so simple words that if we keep on using these in our communication, they're going to give us a good impression. They're going to give a good impression of ourselves. If we keep on using, tell me the alpha, and then there are so many words or phrases that are very academic and generally not used. For example, if I tell you, what is the alpha and omega of this? You would look at me like, what? What are you talking about? Because alpha and omega is something that was in our books, but we never used it. We would say